Okay.
Cool. So just as a quick overview for the wines that are too cold for you to taste right now, but will be warm someday. So the first one is the Bedrock Heirloom wine.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yep. So that's 2010. It's the iteration of same bit. It's about 55% Zinfandel, 20 to 25% Carignan, and the rest is the other 22 varieties that are interplanted out there. 6% 120-year-old vine Syrah this year. I sometimes bottle that separately, but I included it because the blend needed it this year. About 40% New French oak. The second one is the Pagani Ranch Heirloom wine. This is a new vineyard for me starting in 2010. It's the much hallowed, wonderful Pagani Ranch, says Forever Gone to Ridge. The previous winery that took the other half is no longer there, so Carlisle and I took over the other half of it. Amazing, planted in the 1880s. Heirloom wine because it's, again, an old mixed black field blend. It's probably about 65% Zin, but lots of Petit Syrah, Alicante, Grand Noir, Carignan, that type of stuff. And then in that vein, this is actually the first wine that my father has made, not under the Ravenswood label, in a very long time, called Papa's All Blacks, or I should say we made it together. And this is a wine that was inspired by a bottle of 1934 Larkmead California Burgundy that we had. That is one of the most remarkable old California wines I've tasted. Just still so alive and so bright and so interesting and so unique. So we're like, we should try to make a wine that will last 80 years. So this wine has a decent amount of oak. It's got a shit ton of tannin, but it's got a ton of fruit and a ton of concentration. It's just about a quarter each. Bedrock Petit Syrah, Bedrock Alicante, Monterosso Zinfandel, and Stellwagen Zinfandel. And I think it's a really fascinating wine, but it really is going to demand some time. And then the last of the Zinfandel stuff is the 2010 Monterosso Zinfandel. Vines planted in 1886. Monterosso speaks for itself. It's one of the most incredible vineyard sites in California, particularly for Zinfandel. And what's really cool is, I mean, Monterosso is not a small vineyard. It's 350 acres. And my dad got fruit from there from 1993 to 2002. And I've kind of been begging the gallows for Zinfandel since I started Bedrock. And finally, in 2010, they said, "Okay, we've got some for you," and they gave me back my dad's old block, which is very cool. So I remember going to this block when I was 12 years old in 1993, and then being able to source fruit from it now is really kind of cool.
Is that where Vino Bambino came from?
No, Vino Bambino came from San Giacomo's,
from
the Pinot Noir from the San Giacomo's. I wish it came from Monterosso, the San Giacomo's.
That would have been quite a start.
That would have been quite the start, yes. And then let's see. So in the realm of Syrah, so these outside of the 2010 Sonoma Coast Syrah will not be released until the spring. They just got bottled a week and a half ago. Okay. So very young.
Would you recommend just kind of setting those aside for maybe a week and not tasting them?
I would say give them 1 to 2. I'd say give them 1 to 2 days, depending on your time and schedule, obviously. Sure. But just I would say that every single one I've opened has shown so much better on day 3 and 4 than it has on day 1. That some time is certainly helpful.
Well, as you know, I'm a pretty big proponent of letting wines kind of reach their zenith all at their own rate.
Yes.
And not be quick to judgment with how a wine's tasting after, a 30-second or a 1-minute taste.
And it's really necessary because, I think what's really fascinating is when you do these experiments where you open up a fresh bottle and then see how long it takes for it to fall over. Yeah. I think it's probably the truest way that you can tell how long the wine's going to last. Because I think the freshness is, it shows. And, certain wines kind of fall apart after a day, and some wines get stronger and better after a day, and that, I think, says something about the wine's quality for sure.
One of your wines in 08, Morgan, was the Lorenzos. Are you not making that anymore?
No, I make the Lorenzos every year that I can, but unfortunately in 2010 we lost the entire vineyard due to the heat. So in 2010 I lost a couple of the mainstays. I lost all of Dolinsek Ranch, I lost all of Pepera Ranch, I lost all of Von Weidlich, and I lost all of Lorenzos to the heat. So the Zinfandel side of things is quite a bit smaller than it typically is, because Old Vine Zinfandel and Old Vine Field Blends probably represent about 60% of my production in a normal year, and in this year they represent about 40%, because we lost a lot of fruit, which is really sad and really hard for John Teldeschi, or guy who farms Lorenzo's. He usually takes in about 350 tons off of that property, and I think he got 20 tons. You know what I mean? And, old Italian, no crop insurance.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And that's a stunning loss when you start putting tonnage. That's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So, so in terms of the Syrah, so Sonoma Coast Syrah, so this is the baby.